Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Lattice today for our live panel discussion. I'm Mamta Gupta, Senior Director of Security, Data Center, and Comms Segment Marketing at Lattice. And I'm joined by my colleague, Eric Sivertson, VP of Security Business. I'll share some of my background and then hand over to Eric. The format of this LinkedIn Live is going to be like a fireside chat, a very informal conversation about a very critical topic of cybersecurity. I've been in FPGAs for 24 years, mostly aerospace defense and security. Joined Lattice about 5 years ago and have been rolling out security products and evangelizing security and how FPGAs are so well suited for implementing robust security solutions. And now handing over to Eric, your background.
Thanks, Mamta. Yeah, it's always enjoyable to do this talk with you. So my name's Eric Sivertson. I'm Vice President of our security business here at Lattice. Hate to say it, but I'm coming up on 35 years doing security, just like Mamta in the aerospace and defense area, as well as in the commercial space. We're both based here out of the San Jose, Silicon Valley office. So we get to have the privilege of working with a significant amount of the world's leading providers in this space. So it's quite an exciting time. We're seeing all kinds of great stuff. I think the seminar, our fireside chat, as we say, no fire today, is going to be interesting, not only for Mamta and I, but hopefully for you and the audience. And so I'm going to let Mamta tell you a little bit about why October is so special.
Yeah. So today, thank you, Eric. So today we are here to talk about cybersecurity. It's a very appropriate topic, right time, because October is the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, as declared by the U.S. government. Just shows how important it is to raise awareness on this issue and reduce the risk that is all around us, generate discussion, and have a thought-provoking informational session on cyber threats on a national and a global scale. And today we are going to talk about some of the threats and solutions about security issues that we are seeing in the AI and quantum era. And Eric, you are just back from Cologne addressing the two safety and cybersecurity symposium about the data provenance and AI. Why don't we start with that? And how is this topic of data provenance arising as a key one in cyber resiliency conversations now that AI also figures in every conversation that we have?
Yeah, thanks, Mamta. And you were with me at Embedded World as well this year, and I presented on this same topic there. And I think when we walked the show, every other booth was Edge AI or AI. So the excitement around AI for the entire world is extremely high right now. I have ChatGPT on my phone. I use it almost daily. We are definitely caught up in that early excitement of a new technology, and it's global, and it's probably one of the fastest moving technologies we've seen, at least for me, since I've been in this business. And when that happens, we get caught up with the promise of it. But I think, unfortunately, security sometimes becomes a back burner, or the security implications of these new technologies is not always the first thing people go to look at. But it's something that really is going to become an issue much faster than most realize. So when I talk about data provenance and AI and why I'm seeing globally people want to hear more and get more involved in this is because of the dangers with it. And so there are a couple of issues that can be tricky when it comes to how AI is informing us. So when you look at current technology today, like a ChatGPT, it's a transformer type of technology used for natural language, and it is basically taking huge data sets and making inferences or decisions, and then feeding that back to us as an answer, if you will. The issue comes down to the data. And so there are three topics that I think most people don't know a lot about. And I'll start with one that's very obvious, and that's called malicious training. And that's where you are deliberately trying to mislead one of these transformers to give a dangerous answer. And there was a very interesting study that was done recently where they took effectively road cameras in cars, and again, with autonomous vehicles which are using AI, they're looking for all the road signs as the car drives down the road. So as it comes up to a stop sign, the malicious training was to trick the control for the car off of that image. Instead of the image recognition being, oh, that's a hexagonal stop sign, it was deliberately misled or maliciously trained to look like a speed limit increase. So instead of the car running at, say, 55 miles an hour coming to a stop sign to slow down, it sees the stop sign, it sees a 65-mile-an-hour speed limit, and now speeds up and shoots through the stop intersection. That's just a simple example of malicious training. And that's a really bad situation if you're relying on your car to take you safely wherever you want to go, or worse, if you're sitting in one of these now automated taxis with no driver. So that's a good example of a data provenance problem, malicious training, if you will, where the data was able to be manipulated or tricked. Another one is just pure data poisoning, where people go into these large networks and just randomly change out that data. So now you're going to get incorrect responses, or if you want to pre-bias via that. So these are two very good examples where if you don't understand the provenance or know the trust of the data that the decision is being made on by an AI engine, you could have a very negative outcome. There's another problem also that people miss, and this one isn't necessarily malicious, but it still ties back to data provenance, and that's called data drift. And so this is where you could be doing predictive maintenance, and a bunch of sensors have been reporting, say, agricultural information or water, containment levels, or whatever you want to think about from a sensor point of view. And now the protocol changed to save money or for whatever reason, and you're not collecting data as fast as you did before. Well, the AI is still going to try to make its decisions based on a lot of training that came from a sensor that was giving you information every minute. Now it's giving it to you every hour, every 24 hours. And so the fidelity of the model is starting to drift as well, because all the hard training was done with very fast sample rates, and now it moves to a slower rate. And unless the algorithm knows that, it's still going to think that data set is the same as what it had before, and it's going to make bad decisions. And this could be very costly for any type of system that's going to rely on predictive maintenance to actually save money. You could find in the long run, you will actually lose money. And all of these revolve around the need for data provenance. So by data provenance, what I'm saying is that wherever the first digitization of information occurs in a system, we want to tag that information with some metadata that's cryptographically linked to the actual data itself. And in that metadata, things that you want to think about are what time was this data collected, what day, year, what location, what type of device, or what device exactly, because we can now fingerprint devices at a very fine granular level, right down to the silicon. And that's some technology we have here at Lattice we can talk about later, as well as what was the company that did this, and are there any data rights or any privacy rights or protection of that data? Let's say it's data coming off of a medical device. So this is what I'm talking about, provenance. And but it's important. You can't just collect the metadata and keep it separate from the data without somehow trusting the two stay together. So you need to cryptographically bind that data with the metadata. And then if you really want to do belts and suspenders, you'd like to immutably lock that moment in time, like putting it on a blockchain. So this is the concept of data provenance. And once you have that, now you can force these models to express where they got their data from, and you can express that with a high degree of trust. And of course, as that data moves through a system and gets transformed, every transformation point, you could also now add to the metadata and rebind to say this now is a new set of data that the model changed, or that some transformation or function in the system changed it. So this is the concept of data provenance. And when we get that right, what's going to happen is you can go to, like, if you go to ChatGPT today, or better yet, the OpenAI where they do DALI, and you basically give me a picture of a flying pig going over the Golden Gate Bridge, and it'll do it. It'll be a great movie and you'll laugh, but most likely, and this is another use case for data provenance, there could have been a movie that's copyrighted, that's on the web, that DALI went and grabbed that video of going over the Golden Gate and used as part of its inference. Well, there's copyright on that and they need to pay for that, but you're not going to be paying for that. But now you go and monetize on YouTube with your flying pig over the Golden Gate Bridge. How does the original copyright owner of some of the image information get protected? And so this is going to happen also with data for making big decisions. That's why a lot of corporations today keep their data off of the cloud and keep it held inside the enterprise. So these are all the issues that are going to revolve around, do I have good data provenance? I like to talk about it in terms of levels. I think a level 0 is no data provenance, which is what most systems have today. A level 1 system would be where at least we have the origin of the data's provenance, so we know where the original data came from. And then a full level 2 system would be where not only do we have where it came from, but we have an unbroken trust chain from every transformation. It gets added immutably, and the AI engines must report on, did I use a fully trusted chain of data? And so this is kind of the topic. And there are people starting to really look at this seriously for standards. There's a Data and Trust Alliance group, which is doing that, particularly with some of this forensics in mind, so that you can get proper payments for copyright material and advertisers, things of that nature. But this is kind of where the world needs to move. And the reason that, a company like Lattice that makes FPGAs wants to talk about this, we're usually the first point of digitization in the system. So when you look at a lot of the origin of data, where there's a sensor or a function like a LiDAR or camera in a car, there's usually an FPGA sitting right next to it, collecting it, transforming it, and now sending it out into the AI food chain, if you will. And so what we want to do is help people realize that at Lattice, especially what Mamta and I work on, we're building extremely strong cryptographic roots of trust that make it capable of easily tagging that metadata onto a collection of real data to give you first provenance. Now, that's all great, but there's another big topic besides AI that's coming at us, and it will affect how we do that binding. And that's quantum computing and how that's going to impact cryptography, especially public cryptography, in the next decade. And now, Mamta, I know you have a master's, if I remember correctly, in quantum physics. This is kind of your favorite topic. Why don't you tell the audience what is going to happen with quantum computing and what's post-quantum cryptography, PQC? Because that's going to be critical to how we do a lot of this stuff in the future.
Absolutely. But let me first say that was one of the most cogent data provenance, overview that I've had ever, and in just 10 minutes. So, our audience very lucky that we could have that download from Eric. And every point where he talked about binding or provenance or identity, that's where cryptography comes in. And that's where cryptography has to be future-proof. And today we use what we call classical asymmetric cryptography to put identity on everything. So when we sign something cryptographically, we are using asymmetric cryptography today. And what is happening or going to happen is as quantum computers come online, this asymmetric cryptography is going to be broken. It's not going to be weakened, is not going to be, oh, okay, I can live with it, or I increase my key strength and I would be protected. No, it's like bullet to a paper. So whether you put one sheet of paper or 5 sheets of paper in front of a bullet, it's going to be broken. So we have to move to a new kind of cryptography to protect our data, to protect everything today, our banking, our software downloads on our phones, our online transactions. Today, everything is protected by asymmetric cryptography, classical asymmetric. It all has to move to something called post-quantum cryptography. It's a very different math. It's all being invented now. And recently, NIST announced their final choice and the specs of the post-quantum algorithms to replace classical cryptography. And about 2 years ago, the commercial arm of NSA released their CNSA 2.0 requirements. So currently, in all the critical infrastructure in US, if you are putting secure solutions in there, whether in telecom or servers or any web application or industrial application, you should be compliant to CNSA 1.0, which calls for classical cryptography, ECC 384, and all that. But now CNSA has released a new requirement called CNSA 2.0, and that is mandating PQC to become default and preferred in very near future, to the point that 2025, every web signing for firmware and almost every server that will be put in US infrastructure needs to have PQC default and preferred. For all the telecom equipment that will be deployed in US, it's 2026 that you need to have your firmware protected by PQC as default and preferred. Now, why is everybody so concerned about it? Okay, fine, quantum computers are going to break, and we have heard, yes, they're coming. And, various scientific studies are putting a viable quantum computer, a cryptographically viable quantum computer that will break it somewhere beyond 2032. That's what the current studies are saying. So people are like, okay, we are still about 8 years away. Why are we so worried? The thing that is worrying everybody is a new kind of attack called steal now, decrypt later, or harvest now, decrypt later. So the bad actors out there know that quantum computers are not if, it's just a question of when. So what they are doing is they are currently harvesting your data that has been encrypted or protected by classical asymmetric crypto, and they're just sitting on it. And once they have access to quantum computers, they're going to decrypt it and the data will be theirs. So now you'll say, okay, what data is relevant after 8 years? Well, your health data, your banking data, your retirement funds, your state secrets, your IP secrets, they're all relevant even 8 years from now or 10 years from now. So the urgency and the whole drive behind the PQC adoption that is coming as a requirement. We have exec orders coming out. We have, Congress laws coming out that we should be PQC ready in US infrastructure, and similar actions are happening in Europe because everybody is concerned about these steal now, decrypt later attacks. So, okay, so we accept that, okay, the quantum computers are going to break classical cryptography and we need to implement PQC. But one thing that is also bothering all the security experts is that this math is very new. This is a new kind of math called lattice-based math, and say we will take the credit, but it's not really lattice semiconductor. It's a kind of math called lattice-based math, and it has not been time tested. and it has not been deployed in the field, and it has been academically proven robust. So there is a concern that if we put these algorithms front and center and we replace our classical cryptography that has been battle tested with classical computers today, existing asymmetric cryptography cannot be broken by our classical computers, and it has been in use for tens of years. So there is a concern that we put this new math front and center of our applications. What happens if it gets broken by classical computers? And we have seen that. There were like 15, 16 algorithms in the running, and now we are down to what, 6, 7 or so, because rest were broken by classical computers. So there is a very keen concern that when do we pull the plug and actually start implementing it? And that is where FPGAs are so appropriate. Whenever there is a churn like this, whenever there are new requirements coming up, or there is an uncertainty, FPGAs, because they are reprogrammable, are such an innovative and such a time-tested vehicle to deploy these new algorithms and be compliant. And the key innovation that Lattice is offering in this one is crypto agility. We are offering a way to actually upgrade these crypto algorithms in the field. And this has been appreciated by our customers. So I would give you some examples of the customers that we have who are adopting these PQC solutions and are using FPGAs to implement their algorithms, Lattice FPGAs. And the key concern was this: that okay, when I field this device and then there is some vulnerability that is found in these algorithms, what do I do? And this is the biggest driver for us to innovate in this field. And we have multiple patent pending innovations in this field where we can do safe cryptographic algorithm updates in the field. So this is one of the major things that I want to get out there, that first of all, everybody please go and check out CNSA 2.0 requirements. How does it affect your business? What are the timelines? And then see how FPGAs can help you navigate this turbulent uh, times, and help you bridge over from classical cryptography to post-quantum cryptography. Um, and Eric, I would, after giving my spiel for post-quantum, I would like to now delve a little deeper into the use of FPGAs in cybersecurity applications. How do you see it? And we are both FPG. We have both been very close to FPGAs for a very long time, and we understand. But I would like to communicate that to our viewers as well.
Yeah, Mamta, thanks. And by the way, great job there on the PQC stuff. I always learn a lot from you when you speak on this topic. I think, you know, I will put in a little bit of a plug for our company, Lattice. We do spend a lot of time architecting, and Mamta and I are both involved in that. We call them roots of trust, where you can trust our FPGAs to come up securely, secure boot. They boot themselves securely. And then they give you all of these great cryptographic operations, including post-quantum now, because we have parts that are coming that will allow you to do post-quantum cryptography, so that you can trust us and our parts to come up first. And the other nice thing about FPGA technology, especially with the pedigree we have of doing power control in a number of systems that CNSA is applied to, so industrial controls, servers, compute platforms, you'll find a significant portion of those have our parts in them. Those devices trust us to be the first device on to bring power to all the other devices, including the processors and even other secure elements like a TPM. With our roots of trust, not only can we be first on to power them, we can be first on for the entire system to get a bubble of trust put around it. And that includes, just as Mamta said now, what the ability to bring you the post-quantum algorithms to do that. So FPGA technologies are very good for that. The other nice thing about an FPGA is it's not locked to a microcode. So when you buy an ARM type of processor or an x86, they're limited with the microcoded instructions that it can run. It can't do anything else. An FPGA is truly flexible, programmable hardware. And so we're very good at doing things in parallel. We can even implement emulations of those processors in our fabric, and we can do multiples of those all running at the same time. So FPGAs are very good for security now because we can bring them up securely, we can run these new algorithms, and we can do many things in parallel, like we can collect the data and we could cryptographically tag the metadata and bind it together in real time and feed it up the chain. So this is really the strength of FPGA technologies and why we're seeing a tremendous part of the world start to come to FPGAs, and also in particular to come to Lattice to find these great solutions. And it's quite exciting. Mumta and I both spend a lot of time on the road with customers. It's a very fun time for us both because we get to help people see this. And we have more and more new customers that have never used FPGAs, that they just can't get these solutions with traditional microcoded machines, especially small secure microcontrollers. They don't have the horsepower to do some of these new algorithms, and they certainly can't do this data collection, post-quantum tagging of data to make a provenance solution in real time and feed it up the chain easily. So this is really driving a lot of business our way, and for all of those listening out there, we'd love to talk to you. You can reach Mumta and I very easily. We will always be available to have those discussions. But yeah, that's kind of at a high level what I see. And Mumta, maybe you want to add to it and close
Yeah,
us
no,
out.
you summed it. Yeah, Eric, you summed it very well. Our flexibility, our reprogrammability allows us to not only adapt to newer technologies, newer requirements, but also be applied in various use models. Like in data centers, security is becoming very, very important. And we have a very robust PFR solution, and it has been widely adopted, widely appreciated. And now we see the rise of
Mumta, you want to say
attestation.
what PFR means for our audience? Not everybody might know
Yeah,
that.
that's platform firmware resiliency. I live and breathe this, so sorry. Thank you for reminding me. That's platform firmware resiliency, basically securing your firmware. That is the lifeblood of any system. So there are ways to secure the firmware. There are NIST guidelines for it, and we have a solution that complies to it and does it very robustly. But then also there are new requirements like attestation, and identity is becoming very important. Am I right? Am I talking to the right server? Am I talking to the right system? So now the FPGAs, we can expand our solution, and we can include attestation along with PFR. So FPGAs give you that flexibility to continuously evolve your solution as the need arises. So time to wrap up. Thanks for joining us today. And as a low power programmable leader, it's great to hear our customer feedback on our innovations and how they're using our FPGAs. And Eric, as you said, we are the first point of digitization of data, and we offer reprogrammability, parallel processing, and this makes them ideal for doing the crypto agile implementations of new requirements like post-quantum cryptography, or evolving into incorporating new solutions for challenges like data provenance. So safeguarding your data against quantum threats, or data corruption or data provenance threats. So if you're interested in learning more about the latest trends, challenges, and the low power FPGA based solutions, please register for the virtual Lattice Developer Conference on December 10th to 11th this year. And last but not the least, to stay up to date with our latest news, be sure to follow Lattice on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks again for your time. Thank you, Eric. Goodbye.
Thank you, Mumta.